We are live. Welcome to Awakening Warriors, podcast 7, something like that.
Yep, episode 7.
We just got back back from the UP. Oh, I'm gonna take my fucking shoes off. Make myself at home. Just got back from the UP. Had a pretty good trip. Overall, snowmobiling, good snow. Unfortunately, we left on probably the best day of riding, potential riding.
Yeah, they were getting so much snow when
Yeah, the night
the last
before
day
we
we were
left.
there, that
Yeah.
evening.
It was dumb snow. Like they probably got a foot by the time all said and done.
For
Like,
sure.
my dad got stuck for a hot minute with the truck and the trailer, so it was stupid deep. So yeah, which actually kind of leads us into the topic of today. Sorry, I'm like kind of bleh today because I woke up at like 1:15 this morning and I was just like, I tried to go to bed, it didn't work, and I've been up since then, so I'm just like in that low period, so it'll probably peak back up once I get through this, but here I am. But anyways, the topic is, I don't even know necessarily what the topic is.
Essentially, like, the question is, how many more times? Or how much more time?
Yeah, I mean either
Yeah.
one.
I guess
It
we'll
just
just
depends on the situation.
Yeah, let's have to get into it, and then
Well-
it'll just make more sense.
Yeah, we'll come up with the topic name later. So ultimately, this concept that I'm about to talk about came from Jesse Itzler on an impact theory, and it just kind of really hit me when he talked about it. It was just kind of just a slap in the face, like holy shit. So he used to write down the approximate days of his life. And the only reason
So he was like 80 or 85 or something?
yeah, because he basically, was like, yeah, the man approximately lives, average age of 80 or blah, 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 and, there's so many days I have until 80, and, obviously you could die at any moment, right? But, he also mentioned, like, how he only was able to see, well, not able, but he only saw his parents or, one of his parents or whatever, approximately twice a year. And he's like, well, he's already, fucking 70 years old. So, I have 10 more times that I get to see my fucking dad before he dies. And I'm like, damn, 10, that's crazy, Like 10, 20 times, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing once or twice a year. But still, that's not that many times, Like,
well, I want to back up to, like, when he was writing how many days or whatever, how many years it was that he had left. I think he did it in days. Like, people would say to him, like, that's really morbid. Like, why are you thinking about your death? Like, why are you? And he's like,
yeah.
I don't think that's morbid at all. Like, as human beings, that's always, like, a thing, right? We're all going to die. But, like, this just makes me that much more grateful and mindful of the days that I do have. Like, I'm going to spend these days being grateful and doing these things because I'm aware that I only have these many days left.
Yeah.
Or this many days left.
And honestly, we could go on a whole other topic on, death in general, because, like, how you perceive death is, everybody's different. The way I guarantee people don't see the death the way I see it, because, like, some do, but a lot don't. It's not
But
the
the whole
majority.
point behind that is, like, it's just some people's minds go to, like, that's really morbid, but he more so used it as, like, a fuel for, like, I'm going to enjoy and love and really use these days to their fullest because I have these many days left.
Yeah, exactly.
Or looking at how many times you see your parents and people, I can just hear people in my head, like, saying, like, why are you thinking of that? Or the way that we were talking about, like, your dad downstairs before we started this, just, like, well, he probably is only going to live this long. Like, people might hear those conversations and be like, wow, like, that's messed up. But being aware of that fact.
Yeah, exactly. It allows you to be, more in the moment and not take it for granted, ultimately. Because, like, for me, like, I'll tell you what we were talking about earlier down there. My dad, I feel like you could kind of see him get a little bit of emotional and whatever else as the trip came to the end, because he really, it's kind of the only time we get by ourselves to hang out and whatever else, you know, and just
For
like
a long, good chunk of
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, he's a
like a
long haul
decent
truck
amount of time.
driver, so he's gone a lot of the days out of the year. Like I'd probably, you know, he's home probably 4 days out of the month, and I don't even see him every trip. Like
Right,
I,
because
you
even
know,
then he's busy. He's got
yeah,
stuff to do while he's home. You're doing stuff. So,
yeah,
like, if
yeah,
we see him, it's generally, like, in passing.
yeah. I'm dropping something off or whatever else. You know, maybe if we're doing a birthday party or some shit. So the the amount of times that I get to see my dad for the past like umpteen years, because he's doing this his whole life, you know, so it's not like, you know, all of a sudden I moved out of the house and, you know, no, he was doing this shit when I was in grade school. So um, it just kind of like, I was like, fuck, man, this is crazy, you know, like. And then I was talked about, you know, Uncle Mark, you know, like when was the last time he went
Mm-hmm.
snowmobiling? And I wonder, you know, I wonder if he knew that was the last time they were going snowmobiling. Probably not. You know, it probably wasn't like it just happens. It just fucking happens. Life happens. So ultimately, I was thinking like, fuck, dude, my dad is probably only going to be able to snowmobile if I'm lucky, or if he's lucky, for another 10 years or so, give or take. He's 56 now. He'll be 66 in 10 years. He's not in good shape. Like, you know, and as you get older, that really wears on you. So, we'll say, you know, I get 10 more trips out of the fucking. I get 10 more trips with my dad, basically. 10 more snowmobiling trips, and that's pretty much it. You know, give or take. So I was like, fuck, dude. I really need to, like, be conscious of this stuff and appreciate the time that I do have, because I'm like, this ain't gonna be, you know, it's not gonna last. And I see people watch their parents pass and stuff like that, and they just take it so hard. And I'm sure you know, I'll mourn for a little bit, but I'm not attached to my parents. You know, I don't identify with them, but I will miss the snowmobiling trip. You know, with him and all things. You know, there's a time for fucking harvesting and a time for planting, and you know that's just how life is. You know, there's gonna be a time for, and at that point maybe I'll have my own children and be doing that with, you know, them. So, but like even thinking about that now, it just kind of hit me like my kids will probably never get to really snowmobile with my dad. Like, you know, like we'd have to have them right now. And then at 10 years old, like even at 10 years old, they're, you know, they're not really going to be riding down the trail.
Yeah.
Like, so
Be
my
putting
kids,
around the house or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. You know, my dad might be able to do it around the house or something, but he'll probably never get to go up to the UP with, you know, our children if we have them, to go do that. So even that's an interesting thing, you know.
Somebody who's like newer to those trips too, because I think this was my third year with you guys. Like, it's so cool, like just the whole experience of it. And I think that probably changed it. I mean, too, like me coming into the picture and going and
Yeah,
change the dynamic a little bit. But I don't know, even just coming home this last time, like I had noticed it and you had said it too, but like he hugged us both and you could just like sense that he was like just in his feels about like
yeah.
it.
Genuinely appreciative, you know, like of the whole thing, you know. So yeah, now I got me all fucking teary and shit.
Me too.
Yeah, I can see
I'm
it.
feeling it.
That's what got me going. Um,
But just like to think about like that in general, like, and I think when it comes to parents, it's easier to think that way because they are older than us and like we're aware of the fact that they're gonna pass. But just like anything, I think
oh yeah,
like
you're fucking kids, dude. Like imagine, you know, your fucking kid gets hit by a car, you know, God forbid, whatever. Like who fucking
well, and
knows? You
even
don't know.
like that Mark situation with the snowmobile. Like the last time he was on a snowmobile, did he know that? But I've seen this before. I don't know if it was like social media or what. But like when you have kids, there's a time when that's the last time that you pick them up. Like, do you
Yeah.
ever realize that that's the last time you're gonna pick your kid up?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I mean that's insane. Like I used to kiss my dad goodbye, like when he to the truck trip or trucking trip, you know, and like obviously like there is a point to, you know, like that is weird if you continue to do that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but when I was a kid, like it's no big deal, you know, that's what families do and whatever else. So, you know, like even that, like when was the last time that I gave my dad a kiss goodbye, you know, and shit like that. And yeah, fucking there's so many things that and like I never even thought about that. Not that that really gets me whatever, emotional or attached to it. But, that might be attachment to my dad or my mom or, whoever else. Or, you being a parent might be attached to, you because, like, damn, dude, like, you really gotta fucking be in the moment. And you have to be aware of, like, what you have left of opportunity kind of deal. Like, because otherwise
Right.
it would just be,
Well, all those times will just pass
back.
you by, and then when they're no longer there, then you look back and be like, whoa, like
Yeah.
that was it. But like being mindful of it on this side of it before that's over, before that's the last time.
Yeah,
Like you get
it's-
to like squeeze the juice out of the lemon. Like
Yeah.
I'm aware of the fact that there's only going to be potentially 10 more trips. So like every trip, I'm gonna like appreciate and love and be grateful for, and squeeze the juice out.
Yeah, I just can't think of the fucking word that I just had. Reminisce, not reminisce, but something like reminisce in the, in the moment, bask in the moment. But yeah, so I was like, fuck, dude, that's crazy that I only have like 10 more trips with my dad. Like, how many other fucking things have I not even thought of that?
Well, and Jesse, it's another one for him too, because he loves summers. So he's like, how many more summers do I have with my
Yeah.
kids? Like,
Yeah.
And so they get like, how many more Christmases do we have with our loved
Yeah, before
ones?
they
How many
graduate.
more-
Because
Yeah.
once you graduate your fucking kids, they're gonna be gone. Like, you're not gonna have those in
It's
those
not gonna be
moments
the
anymore.
same.
Yeah.
Like they'll come
'Cause-
back home and
Yeah,
it's not
yep.
the same.
But it's not like you're going on a family vacation. When was the last time you had your family vacation? Everybody together. But once, the one goes off to college and then you got one here and then they're both off to college and so on and so forth. Like, and there's nothing wrong with the change. Like, there's nothing wrong with the change. There's nothing wrong with my dad passing on because there's a time for him to be there and a time for him not to be there. And there's nothing wrong for me moving on and enjoying the next moment to come. You know what I mean? So, whether that's with my kids or, just you and I or, my friends or something, I don't fucking know. But I think a lot of people get hung up on that because, they really dwell in the negativity of that almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this would probably come down to, again, if we decide to do a whole nother podcast on like death and stuff, like there's just like a certain attachment to what that means. And we've talked about this, but like when it comes to death specifically, it's just hard on the people that are still living, and that's because we are still here. So we do have the ability to miss that person and think of those times and be sad about it. But like for that person who is no longer here, like
who's to say though? How do you fucking know? Like, that's bullshit. That's a bullshit thing because you don't
What
know that
is?
they don't miss. Because like maybe they're like they don't miss like just because they're not here on Earth, doesn't mean that they're not somewhere missing us or whatever else. You know what I mean? Like. That's fucking.
Well, maybe, and that's just my belief then. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's going to be a longing or a miss once that soul is no longer here. Like, they
Yeah,
still
I
maybe
still
like
think-
to like remember or look down or whatever, but I don't think there's going to be like the longing that we have here still on Earth because that's part of a human experience.
Emotions are a part of a human experience, or is that a spiritual experience? Yeah. See. Teacher shit, son. Yeah.
A little
Emotions.
of both,
Emotions
but that
are.
longing though is like that's the like.
No, I think that's what you're learning from. I think regardless of whether you're spirit or whether you're in a meat suit, either way you're gonna have emotions. You know what I mean? Like either way, because I think emotions are really the spiritual side of things. Because like that's the spiritual side of having this experience almost. Like being able to control your emotions and not have attachments and longings and wants and whatever else. I personally think you'll still have them. So I don't know.
I don't either.
People think you're gonna go into heaven and everything's just gonna completely radically change and everything's gonna be happy and whatever else. But I think emotions are definitely one of those things that will continue to go with you because it's gonna be a spiritual experience.
Well, I guess, yeah. There's that's like a whole nother rabbit hole. Because then I was gonna go
Yeah.
God and like God having emotions and creation. So
God
like,
has emotions.
That's what I was just saying. Like
Oh,
God
yeah.
having emotions and like having creation. Like there had to be some sort of like intention and emotionality behind that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, rabbit hole.
Yeah, for sure. We can go down a
interesting
lot
stuff
of those.
though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we kind of got off track with like the death and those types of things. But again, just looking at
the moment, and
yeah. But again, like having that awareness of like, and that's what I think like sometimes I find it difficult between like being in the now and being grateful for that and just being really present, but also like that awareness of like, but there are other nows.
It'll be a fine balance, you know,
right.
Always enjoying the now, no matter what the now is, kind of thing. But there's nothing wrong with wanting, you know, and being aware of, you know, recognizing that those are the finals, you know,
right.
like, hey.
Well, and I think you can like be in awareness and be really present without, like, because you had mentioned like forcing that gratefulness or like forcing that, like you can be really present and be really grateful and without that like grip part.
Dude, we need to have a fucking podcast about that because it's such an interesting thing for me. And I wish I wish I wasn't like that, but I also like it's part of my personality. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I like that part of my personality, but I'm also like, God, it would be really nice if I could get that under fucking control, you know? So, whatever. Anyways, rabbit hole, we'll talk about that later. Because that one's going to be a fucking good one because I bet a lot of people deal with that shit. Particularly type A individuals such as myself. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know. This is a short one, but I feel like it's fucking...
Yeah, I think just, again, coming off of, like, the trip, it just brought that for you.
Yeah.
Of just, like, recognizing and being aware of, like, I only probably have so many of these.
I thought about it when I asked Mark, that's why I asked. Because I was like, how many times are we going to sit there by this fire again, you know, and, like, pass this place and whatever else? Because it was like, I don't know... I'm not looking for omniscient, but it was like very, you know, I don't know, well manifested, I can't think of the word, fuck. Yeah. What does God do? He designates, I don't know.
Oh, hold on. Orchestrates,
yeah. It was well orchestrated. Yes, there we go. It was orchestrated so well because you had the full moon and the fire and, you know, it was cold out and it was just, you know, just all staring at the fire and you were trying to suck down all those beers.
I was not. There were a couple frozen ones that were unopened, so I was like, ooh, but they're frozen and then, yeah.
Then I decided I didn't want them. So, yeah, and I was just like, damn, dude, this is cool. And then, I don't know what made me think of Mark, but, you know, like, he hasn't been snowmobiling in a long time, and I'm just like, damn, man, I wonder, like, because my dad used to snowmobile with him, and he tells us, you know, about these stories and about these things, like, you know, oh, it used to be like this, or, you know, you used to do that. Yeah, and that's a funny thing, because my dad is very attached to how things were, and that's how they should be. Now.
He doesn't like change.
Yeah, he's very... Oh, what's that word? Rigid and...
Fixed.
Fixed and rigid?
And rigid
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Fixed and rigid thinking? Yeah, that's it. That's all I ever said. That was so funny. And even that was, like, perfectly orchestrated. I was like, oh, fuck, look at that. It's so crazy. Yeah. I read to my dad when I'm just riding in the truck because I'm so fucking bored. And, like, you know, I'm like, well, it's time for you to learn. And I just start reading to him. And a lot of times he listens. And we have good conversations in that aspect, too. So, you know, like...
But yeah, so the sitting at Lake and Land. So it's like this cool little metal sculpture place that's like literally right on the trail. So like, and right outside of like the entrance to that, there's a big fire pit and there's like logs you can sit on and there's like bathrooms and it's like a whole thing. And so that's where we had stopped, gotten off the sleds. You had met a kind of cool character dude, talked for him for a few minutes.
Yeah, he was like an engineer hobo. He was cool. Cool as shit.
He was out there to do his meditation, he said. Camp out there
staying
for a
in the
few
woods.
days.
It was like fucking cold as shit, like 10 below that night that he stayed.
So then he had like left and went to his little camp that's like across the way, so he was like nowhere near us, and then we just sat there and like talked and sat by the fire and
Yeah. Like,
just like chilled. And like I think maybe one group of snowmobilers had like stopped for a second and left, and another one had came and like left or went through, but like for the most part it was just really quiet, and we were just chilling out there. And yeah, there was a full moon and like the fight, like just being, and your dad had said too, like this is so cool, like just sitting by the fire and it's cold out and
yeah. Wants to fucking do it in the summer.
anybody can do it in the summer. So yeah, just like what you said, well orchestrated like moment of just like being.
Yeah, and there's just time and time again, like just on that trip, how many, well orchestrated things, like like there's just fucking, it's just fun. So, and this is kind of going off on a tangent too, but when you go snowmobiling, you never know what the fuck's gonna happen. Like, odds are somebody's gonna break down. I ran out of gas twice. Fuck. Fucking sled, man. It sucked. And then he broke down one time, and then, so he has two sleds, and then he broke down his other sled, and, yeah, I mean...
Mine was old reliable, let me tell ya.
Yeah.
She was good to go the whole time.
Mine was reliable as shit for the most part, besides sucking down the gas. I don't understand. I use a full 10 gallons when they use like 5. All of a sudden, I'm just fucking out of gas. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You guys have half the tank and I've got nothing. It was weird, but whatever. So yeah, like, just shit like that. So, we broke out the tow tracks a couple of times. I got stuck. I hit a fucking tree. I mean, like you never know. You never know how the trails are going to be. So it's just kind of like an exciting adventure. And so, like, you go off on this adventure not knowing what the fuck's going to happen. Sometimes you have a really good time. And I've actually learned to have a really good time regardless of whether we break down or I get stuck. Like, I like getting stuck. It's kind of fun to get, unstuck. It's different. Change of pace. It's a challenge. And, yeah. So, like, that's why I love those trips so much. And I was like, fuck, dude, I'm not going to have that many more trips with him. I'll probably have however many more with you, but fucking, it's going to be very limited as far as with him. And then, like, when I'm a fucking, if I become a father, like, I'll look back at, those fucking trips and I'll be like, damn, and tell my kid about them and all this other shit, so.
And they're just fun with him there. Like, he's like, brings a different dynamic to, like, our relationship. And he's.
Yeah, you're a lot more fun.
I've learned to definitely roll with the punches a lot more. My first, like, even last year was kind of rough at some points, but, like, now I know the, like, lay of the land. Like, you just talk shit the whole time. Like, that's what you do.
It's what I do all the time.
No, it is what you do all the time, but. I mean, in the trip, I think.
But that's like what snowmobilers in general do. You should have seen
that's
this.
How it goes. And I didn't know that at first, and so it was like sucky for me. But now I'm like, got it. But yeah, let's talk about the other group.
Yeah, that dude with the fuck Joe Biden thing. He was funny. He was hilarious.
Him and that other guy were talking a bunch of smack to each other.
Yeah. Go back to fucking Indiana and plow some fields.
All he does is talk to cows.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so.
Oh, and we saw the Springs thing. Kitchikippy.
Yeah, I posted about that. It was super cool. It was like a quick little trip for the most part. Like, we weren't out there very long, but I was just so, like, fascinated by it. It was really cool.
Yeah, that was totally off the cuff, too, for the most part. So, didn't realize we were going to go until it was just kind of landed there, like we dropped out.
Well, that's another thing that was like super well orchestrated, because one person had mentioned it to us, and then we saw it like 2 or 3 other times, and then realized like, oh, well, we're gonna have to be here anyway to drop off his sled. Like, that makes sense to go on this day. Like. Yeah, that's a whole nother episode. It's orchestrated. Yeah, there's a lot of examples just in this trip. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of like full circle stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And we'd like to thank Milwaukee For our light.
For our show light or whatever.
If you like DeWalt, go buy Milwaukee. Yeah.
We're at least a little bit more clear. I think we're probably really bright, but you can at least see us, and it's probably doing a lot less like self-adjusting. So.
Yeah, for sure. I look damn good no matter what, though. I need a haircut. But cool. All right. Well, I think we're fucking done then.
Mm-hmm.
So, recap. I like doing the recaps because I like going through my head. For me, as like, because I never want to forget shit. So like, anytime I leave the house or like I have a schedule or whatever, I go through my head to make sure that I covered everything that I want to cover. And sometimes I'll actually write it down on a paper. But I mean, today was kind of just a fucking just winging it type of day. So neither of us were really like getting it today, because normally we're like, I'm kind of like, all right, let's fucking do this. But even so, this kind of my mellowness matched the topic, I think, for the most part. So ultimately, just be aware that you're all good things come to an end. So if you're aware of them before they come to an end, because they will, you can take advantage of it and make the most of the opportunity, whether that's family summer vacations or spending time with your parents or picking your kid up off the ground. Like, it all comes to an end, and it won't last forever. So be aware of that. Like, make a have a general idea, like I do, like a general idea of how many trips do I have left, and next year I'll be like, okay, I got 9 more trips, and then I got 8 more trips, and then eventually it'll be down to one hand, and be like, fuck, dude, it's already halfway gone, because time flies, fucking flies. Even doing this podcast, like 7 already, like like that's fast as shit, I feel like.
Part of what can slow that down, though, is being mindful.
Yeah,
that's what happens
100%.
when like your years and stuff fly. It's because you're not being present.
Yeah.
As much as you could be.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Get out of your head. That's an awful place to be. So, but yeah, that's it. If you're listening to this on our podcast, go listen to it on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, go subscribe to our podcast.
Like, comment, subscribe, let us know your thoughts.
Ring the bell. Yeah, we'd love to hear feedback. So far, no one's got anything to say, so I think we just, like, leave them speechless. We leave you guys speechless. And that's what I'm going to assume until I hear otherwise, so I'm awesome. Alright, cool. Well, we are gone then, so, and you just don't even fucking know it yet. Bye!
See ya.